All right. Welcome to Goof On, everybody. It is Saturday, March 25th, 2023. How are we? My 9-to-5ers made it. I see you. I'm very proud of you. Thank you very, very much for making it on a Saturday 5 o'clock show. That's right. Saturday and Sundays are now 5 p.m. We're still going every day, Monday through Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Saturday, Sunday is 5 p.m. So if you thought it was 7, I apologize. That is because we've flip-flopped a few times, and now we're honed in on 5 p.m. for the weekends. We get in, we get out. The sun's still up. That's how I like my weekends to start. Well, the night. Even, what? The sun's up at night? It is where I live. Tonight, we've got Michael Roser. DarkHour, Paranormal. Hello. Oh, you know. Oh, yeah. We've been pushing the show this week. I can't speak. I'm nervous. Anytime I have Mike on, I wish we could record our regular conversations, because they're incredible. If you ever had a conversation with Michael Roser about the paranormal, near-death experiences, spiritual stuff, communication, telepathy, channeling, you're going to a very good source to understand what the hell might be going on. And hey, we don't know, but I'm going to bring Michael in here. We don't know if it's alien and spiritual or spiritual in nature. Real quick, I see a few before I bring Michael on. Ben, the Yorkshire Goofonian, throwing down $5 to start off the show. You can help support Goof On. We are supported by you, for you. And I know that's weird, but you get everyday ufology. You get a narrative that's most likely the real one. And you get to see who's saying what, when, and where. And starting tonight, continuing on for the weeks to come, we will be seeing more interviews here and things of that nature. Ben, thank you for the continuing support. Jeanette Angel with $5. Last night, somebody threw down 5 or 10 right as the show ended. And I do want to thank that person as I'm pulling it up here. And then we'll bring Michael on. He's just sitting back there. I see he's itching. Oh, he's itchy. Oh, I see. Oh, he's itching to get on. Okay. All right. Who was here last night? That was Chris Rogers at the end of the show. So I want to thank Chris Rogers for the $5, £5, £5. And tonight we've got Jeanette, Ben, and Alien Girl just threw down a $2. Alien Girl! Are you out of your mind? Come on, girlie. You don't have that kind of whip to throw around just to throw around. All right, I'll give it back to you another night. That's what we do. We give it back to each other. All right, I'm going to be quiet. Hey, 5 minutes? I can't do an intro for 5 minutes? He knows. Nobody's going anywhere. You're still going to get the interview. Calm down. Hey, I don't do roll call on nights like this when we have guests. Why? Come on. Welcome to the show, though, everybody. And if you're going to throw out super chats tonight, I will post them on the screen and try to do this if Michael's talking or a video is playing. This or this. Capiche? All right. With that being said, and as I hate when people say this, without further ado, Michael Roser, everybody. Michael, thank God you showed up. How you doing? Oh, I'm sorry. We can't hear you.
Sorry. Hey, how you doing, Rich? It's kind of interesting. I'm trying to get myself out of the habit of saying without further ado, because you know what?
It's hard.
Natural. It's so natural.
It's hard.
And it's not even that I got it from YouTube like everybody says. I don't know why it's so popular.
Because it works, and that's a nice segue into what you're going to say next. Without further ado, here he is. And there you are, and you're still around. People have asked me, hey, you need to have Michael Roser on your show. I'm like, I know. I know, but we just had a great conversation yesterday for an hour and 45 minutes, you know? So it's like you and I have these conversations that should be recorded. Are they? Do you record our conversations? Just let me know now. No, me neither.
I wish I did. Because honestly, there's a lot there, you know?
You know, we do have these great
conversations. Point something out.
Please do.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You can't see it here, but on the thumbnail, you'll see that I was wearing glasses during that interview I had with Rich. Now these.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Where'd you go?
Oh, I'm showing you I'm showing them the eyeglasses. Okay, and I'll bring you back in.
Now, these glasses I started wearing as an homage to Rich when I first started doing this almost 3 years ago. Now,
shut the front door.
The reason I did this because I thought this was, part of, Rich's get up and so forth. But it turns out the light just happened to be too bright for Rich on his webcam. And this is the reason he was wearing glasses, but it never dies. And even though these things are, broken and the lenses have fallen out, I'll have them forever. Well,
nobody needs to know. Right. And nobody needs to see the broken arm on that. You could have got away with it.
It's Miles, man. It's Tread.
He's a hoaxer. He's got fake glasses on. They're not real glasses. I knew he was hanging out with hoaxers.
Goodness, give him ammo, will ya?
You just did. Hey, look, I got my laser pointer orb maker right here. I've been accused of faking an orb on my show with the laser pointer, and it's a white orb. Really? I've never seen the laser pointers I have. They're green and red color. So it was white. I don't understand why it was white, but have you seen the video that they're talking about?
I saw that one.
So on my show, recent? 2 years ago.
Okay, yes.
2.5.
Yes, I do remember this little orb floating up in front of the camera when you weren't around. I think you walked into the next room or something. Is that what
apparently I faked it? Yeah, I faked that with a laser pointer, they're saying. But here's the deal. The reason why they say it, because I walk back into the thing and I have my vape pen in my hand, not a pot pen like this one, just the regular skinny vape pen I had back then. And they're saying that proves that I was faking it. You can't tell what it is in my hand. You just see it's about this size, right? And they still do the same thing. There's no proof. It's all pure speculation because I walked around with something in my hand that looked similar to a laser pointer. Why can't it be a pen? Why can't it be a Sharpie? Why does it have to be something nefarious about the field? It's amazing to me.
Yeah, but honestly, this is sort of reflective of where we are in many of the different avenues and fields that we explore today because of disinformation, misinformation, people being straight up ignorant in respect to what they're calling proof or otherwise. People don't generally know where to turn when it comes to really verifying something as solid that we should move forward, perhaps academically with, or, in an intelligent fashion at the very least. So, it doesn't surprise me that everybody's very non-trusting and, can't believe what you see to any degree. But I think that's sort of the wrong path to be taking because there are anecdotal experiences that do have some gravity. And of course, when you compound some of these experiences, you find consistencies. It's something I've been saying for a very long time, but I think within those string of consistencies, you have more to work with, something more tangible in respect to an overall motif when you talk about the field of the paranormal or any esoteric avenue that you would try to explore.
You are having some crackling every word that you speak. It's crackling.
Fantastic.
The connection.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's when you just talk in spurts, it doesn't happen. But when you're speaking more than 3 words at a time, it clicks. You can hear it. It's pretty bad. It just came out of nowhere. It was fine before the show. We had some issues, but we worked through them. Anyway, it's not as bad. I didn't know if something you might be able to turn a chord or maybe some connection is bad. I didn't know. So that's why I brought it up. But you do bring up those great points as always. And, what we need to do is we do look at everything. Fine, look at me. I don't care. I have nothing to hide, and that's fine that if they want to try to debunk me or anybody, you're supposed to. But to blatantly lie, yeah, that's the new thing. They just, well, not really new. It's a couple of years old, but they just say it and it makes it. And that's not real research, and that's what the haters do. They don't know how to debunk.
No, they definitely don't, but we're sitting in the realm of what would be considered a pseudoscience. So there's no real standard to go up against. We use, what we understand in terms of, any sort of physicality, Newtonian physics, quantum physics. We try to explain some of these things, but long story short, we're only using terms that we're familiar with to describe something we're still incredibly nebulous about, what it is.
I know, but you said something and I lost my train of thought when I was listening to you. Just said it a few seconds ago about something, and now I can't remember. It was very important to the conversation, but damn it. What would you just say? I know what you said, but
I'm going in the moment here. I don't know where I started on it. Oh, it's built on pseudoscience. We don't have a standard.
Oh, right. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so with that being said, and without further ado, yeah, that's the thing. We do have a baseline now. Don't you think after at least the last 20 years? There's no baseline, Mike. There is a baseline and standards, but who's governing it? Who's making sure we're all on the same page?
That's the thing, and not in an academic sense. We can sit here. Let's talk about the field of paranormal for a moment. You talk about the equipment that we use, the measuring of electronic fields, and so forth. Sure, these are things that lead to a specific conjecture, but it still doesn't give us that, shiny red pebble in our hand saying this is exactly what we were looking for based
it's on a portion, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a very important piece of information that gets doctored and messed around with every single time. Something is too good to be true. It's too dang good to be true. And it's getting to the point, it's like something's got to give. I mean, do you know anybody who has that legitimate apparition? I'm not talking UFOs here. We're sticking with the other stuff. But anybody, Mike? Anybody recently have you seen anything recently? Just curious.
I've seen quite a bit of what we would consider hard evidence as far as we can take it within this field. People have captured legitimate moving shadows, some of them adhering to a specific tale or legend about their location. For example, I remember seeing there was one apparition on a Navy ship that had been carrying an axe, and when the paranormal team was out there investigating, sure enough, this apparition did fly by one of the hallways, and in his hand looked like an axe hanging down by the area and so forth. There are quite a bit of people that have this type of evidence out there, and they have it in these little private collections that they're not necessarily keeping themselves in any way. It's a matter of who's listening, who wants to pick this up, who wants to be the one to present this evidence the way that it needs to be in a collective fashion. Because right now, I think that's the only way we're going to get anywhere, is to have those collective bits of evidence and then again compile and accumulate to make an intellectual deduction based on what we're seeing. So even though we don't have smoking gun evidence the way that you and I define it, okay, and that's very important to understand. We define smoking gun evidence a very specific way. If it doesn't fall within certain parameters, then we have to discard it or at least throw it on a different side of the table, when in fact, if we were able to kind of look at this at a different angle and say, okay, with the right conditions in place, the way that they were, the way things were experienced with the people that were involved that witnessed this, I think we can say that, we saw the plane crash. You know what I mean? I think we can say that there was some sort of apparition in that room that was affecting and impacting everybody at that moment. We've got it on camera. We got EVPs. We have shadow figures. It all happens in this one instant. And yet we're just like, oh, that's cool. EVP. Great. Oh, that's a neat looking shadow. Are you sure it wasn't a play of the light? And then you start questioning, which is natural. You need to have that skepticism. But as I've always said, if we did actually have the smoking gun in front of us, Rich, would we know it when we saw it?
Not anymore.
I don't think so.
I think we would, right? I think we would recognize it, but we would still be questioning it until we know for sure. But that's the thing, Mike. It costs money to get the evidence. You need the original evidence. I don't want second generation anything if I'm going to analyze that kind of footage. So you have to, make agreements with people. You're not going to steal their stuff, and you're not going to delete it. You're not going to alter it. Those things take place behind the scenes if you're going to put evidence out there like that, right? Especially on TV. But
absolutely. But go ahead.
But what I was going towards is that people think it's just you look at it and you can tell. No, there's other ways. We have to actually, to do a proper analysis, we need the footage in our hand. We need to look at stuff, even though, it's on a chip and there's no tape, right? It's all digitized. It's all high definition, I hope. We at least get to see the details and where that originated from, the time it was taken, and everything else. So it's nice to have the original information. And that's what we don't get. That's the problem. It's expensive to travel here, travel there, meet them, meet that. It costs money. It's at minimum $1,000 just to go to another state for a day or two. Anyway. No? Did I lose you? Blues batteries, $10. We're not alone in the universe. Thank you very much. Mike,
you had a little lag.
Yeah, no problem.
Nope.
No problem.
Nope. I'm just going to pull off the camera for a minute because it helps the bandwidth. We are having a little bit of a storm out here. Maybe it's affecting what we're doing. But
oh, are you? Damn it. Okay.
Just to mention,
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. What you're going on here. Think about this too when you talk about television series. And you talk about these different presentations. When you're looking at the scientific method, one of the formidable elements of this is that, whatever you find through the result of an experiment must be able to be repeated, not necessarily by the same group, but by perhaps anybody who wanted to undertake this. Now, there are groups of paranormal investigators who have gone to specific locations, got in contact with some type of intelligence, etheric intelligence on the property or location, and were able to come back another night and seemingly capture that same entity either in a residual fashion or through EVP conversations. So again, while we're getting so close to sitting under the umbrella of a conventional definition of hard evidence, we're still just one step away from being able to present that in a larger sense. Again, collectively, I think that's where we need to go.
But we are so close, aren't we?
We are.
But we're not that far away. That's the frustration everybody's feeling. It's like we're all being teased at this point. Okay, we've seen great evidence, right? Questionably great evidence. And it's still not good enough, whatever we're being shown. I'm talking UFOs. If you go back into the ghosts, I always thought the apparitions and all that stuff, that kind of evidence was much better than UFO footage. I always loved that stuff because there's EVPs as well. People get feelings, when they're in a location like that. It's a whole different animal. Or is it? Like, people are now trying to connect aliens and the spiritual realm. What do you think about that? We've talked about it long ago, but
certainly.
Has it changed?
I don't think so. I think people are starting to draw this link. It's perhaps about the highway that's utilized when you talk about these type of energies or intelligences, just behind the veil, just behind the scenes, perhaps in a frequency just one step above what we're able to perceive. These particular entities will travel. Now, you have purported extraterrestrials showing up in people's houses and donning a very similar appearance and behavior to shadow people or, a different type of entity, some sort of ghost or something, even something demonic in certain cases or mischievous. And yet, to me, if they're utilizing the same plane of existence, and Graham Hancock had a great term for this, and I can't remember what he had called it, but nonetheless, there's this sort of non-existent physical how do I want to put it? It's a non-physical world that literally is overlaid over ours. And as we move through, we're still getting a little bit of that sensation because things are brushing past the way that you would maybe feel the wind on a subtle day. Okay, so it's not raging where you're seeing the affect of it, but you can feel it gently on your cheek. You know that it's there, but it may just be intermittent. So even though that's a physical example of something that I'm trying to portray as a non-physical proponent here in some respects, I think, again, that it's not necessarily that extraterrestrials and the paranormal, the way that we see them as two separate fields, are connected that same way. I think they might just be utilizing the same highway.
I don't know, because you're talking about these two realities. Theirs is basically blanketed on top of us, but every now and then the wave of it peeks through and somehow enters our reality. Am I right so far?
In a sense, yes. It's even more braided with our reality. In fact, there are probably people out there, or intelligence that perceive this, that would tell you that there's no difference between the two realities. It's literally the way that you and I choose to perceive it. It's not that anything outside of us is different. It's how we see it.
So you're not really set on this being the theory that is the be all end all of that theory, right? I mean, you're just using that as an example, I'm assuming.
Yeah, you can't be entirely sure until we have something more corroborative in respect to that theory. But from what I can deduce, this is one that's very sound and held up pretty hard.
But why? Why do you think this is the way? Why do you think the Mandalorian just came out? Why is that?
Well, I mean, when I'm talking about these realities existing on top of each other, maybe separated by frequency, which correlates to our perception. Okay, our brave. Jesus Christ, I can't speak either, Rich. Our brain wavelength, obviously,
the energy.
Everything within that compartmentalization we can measure. Okay, and we know that there are limits within that. There's been these ideas that have been proposed by researchers as notable as Graham Hancock, who have explained that perhaps the mind itself is outside of the body. Look at the way the electricity travels through wires, but it doesn't really. It travels outside the wires. Okay, so they're actually a guide. The way the body is a guide for that energy or entity that exists within it or can inhabit this. So when you meditate, okay, you can pull yourself out of this current reality. And I don't mean that you have to have some sort of astral projection experience or anything like that. All you have to do is go into a sound meditation, and there's this point where your body is to such a point, okay, your brainwave changes to match what your body's doing, and you can actually somewhat detach and have a different perception, spatial perception of what's around you. Now, this isn't something you can explain physically, perhaps with the Newtonian physics that we handle in a very familiar sense, and yet experientially, we're pushing ourselves off into a different dimension. And I'm not even going to bring up anything that has to do with psychedelics and so forth, because those also are a very prominent doorway, and it has been proven flat out that our human race has been using certain types of hallucinogens to reach these different states. And this is done through cave wall drawings, and they have these fantastic things based on what the natives today are describing for this experience of specifically ayahuasca. I think it's one of the oldest forms of this. But again, without even touching on that, our perception is what makes the world. And it's not just the individual perception, it's the collective perception that we have together. So I can go off somewhere, perhaps see a tree for a tree, but understand intellectually this is just an energetic configuration my mind is putting together, or my brain is putting together, as something I would call solid. And it's tangible because physically I can touch it. I have the vehicle within this reality to interact with it. Okay. But still, it's perception, because you and I know that everything's energy, right? But at the same time, when I'm holding this stone pyramid, it's solid to me based on the physics that my body and my mind have been programmed to understand and enlist in. At the same time, when we're breaking that programming through our education and research, we start to kind of become more malleable within that perception. And next thing you know, how many times you heard somebody say, oh, I just started to get into the world of the paranormal, and as soon as I started getting into this and showing interest, boom, I started having experiences, because you're starting to lift something. You're scraping off these layers of what's been told to you and taught to you as a limitation. And it's not just, within, human education, it's within the world around you. That's sort of what's happening to a lot of these people.
But aren't those people just now like the people who have had this awakening experience and think that they figured it out and this is paranormal, aren't they just hearing knocks and things and now associating it with the paranormal because they can never figure out where these knocks are coming from or these voices, and they're just assuming it must be paranormal instead of doing the real research? I understand exactly what you're saying, and as soon as you start looking into something, that you're like a beacon. I think that's what happened to me. Like I've always knew that there was something different about me and the way that I can use my mind to I don't know, dude. You know what I mean? Just like some things are psychic. We have psychic events in our life, and shit does happen, which is why I'm very skeptical of a real psychic. But nonetheless, as soon as I started that, it was like a flood of everything, like everything from just feeling different to meeting people who had certain energies that you could feel when you're near them. It was just, it's like, yeah, as soon as you take off the veil, even a little bit, you do put yourself out there for the paranormal to grab hold of you and then drag you down the rabbit hole. Whatever you do with that is up to you, but is it done this way on purpose? Has it been done this way for billions of years? Are you telling me that paranormal highway has always been there? Contact 1997.
I mean, as natural as anything else is around us, I would imagine that it was there and had always been there, the same way that energy has. Again, these are theories, but
so
go ahead.
Are they always here? Have they always been here? Why is this energy even around, Mike? That's what I want to know. Why?
So the short answer to your question, have they always been here? Are they here? Yes. From my understanding, they are always present. In fact, you could have something sitting observing you right now as you're doing the show if it so chose to do so.
Sure.
And then we talk about the paranormal world the same way. Again, maybe they follow the same laws, these extraterrestrials and so forth. But when you look at this on a higher level, there are many different aspects to consider when it comes to this. Now, there have been many theories, and I'm trying to stay a little focused here because this can just open up a whole avenue of things to explore.
Okay.
It's been said many times over that this is not our planet. Okay.
Yes.
We might have originated here based on certain biological creation, and we'll say it that way in respect to whatever entities or entities or extraterrestrials have been poured to create us. Okay. And there's a whole story that goes behind that, of course. If it's not our planet, okay, and there's another race that calls this home, and you introduce, the farm to your property, wouldn't you keep tabs on it? And maybe do it from a distance if you were some sort of sandbox experiment where you didn't want to interfere, but you want. I mean, we've done experiments like this here on Earth within the human race. We've had the same type of setup, and that's why we have the definition of a sandbox reality. So, I mean, I think that might play a part in why they're still here. Not just because of the planet, but they have invested in us something larger in respect to a plan, and we're still very much in our infantile state, and they're just kind of keeping tabs, or at least just taking notes, if you will.
It all sounds so right. They're here, they're watching, they're just making sure this and they're making sure that, but they don't make sure of this or that because we still had 5 extinction level events that wipe the slate clean, more or less. When the next time that happens, and it will, we're long overdue for an extinction level event, especially good old Yellowstone. And we're overdue for the big one on the West Coast. So when that happens, everything's going to change as we know it. So prayer, and everybody's going to be like, oh, pray to God, oh, God, and everybody's going to be looking to God for the answers. But should we be looking for the aliens for answers? No, they've never helped us before. Have they?
Well, Rich, all right, let me ask you this question. Have you ever played the game SimCity?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, SimCity. Yeah, sure.
Okay. So in every SimCity rendition, there's, this sort of calamity button where you can hit this and a storm rolls through, Godzilla comes from the ocean, whatever it may be. I think the reason that they put it in the game is that if, you want to just play around and have an experiment, well, we'll just see what happens if we unleash something like this, see how everybody does. And sure
Mhm.
enough, it's unleashed upon the city, and maybe it's completely destroyed, or maybe a faction survives. It might not be as simple as I'm making it sound, but I wouldn't doubt that they could throw variables into our experience to see how we would handle them. We even understand that we grow through, certain traumas, and we grow through the hard things that we go through, those things that are not necessarily preferable to us, to the ego. I don't want to go through that. I would never want to do that. And yet you have to still do it. You got to go through that death in the family. You got to, go through that car accident where it incapacitates you and takes your legs for the rest of your life. It changes things. So even on a microscopic level, I think that, we're mirrored in our experience to what the rest of the universe is doing too. I don't think there's any difference.
I read an article today. Somebody sent something to me, and I don't know who did it, but they said, I hit my head and now I can play the piano. And I know a guy like that. His name is Mr. Anderson, believe it or not. It was my boss. It was one of my dad's owners of pool company he worked at. Bob. Bob was his name. Yep. And Bob got in a car accident, was in a coma for a day or two, came out of it and didn't realize it, but he could play classical, anything. Just he can listen to music and just play it on the piano. Never took a lesson. We've heard of people, I'm getting to why I'm bringing this up, people who have same thing, hit their head, wake up, can speak French. So my question is, what, WTF, how is that possible? Does that mean, Mike, there's a record of us in the DNA of each person that has our history recorded on it? And we know everything. It's all locked in each one of us, but how do we unlock it to learn how to do all the things that are already recorded? See, that blows my mind that somebody could play the piano or speak another language fluently without ever knowing anything about it. I'm just curious, out of the conversation that came up in my head. What do you think about that? Is that a history of DNA?
So I think this is what do they call it? The savant effect or something along those lines.
Exactly.
I think that this probably has less to do with DNA than it does how the brain may actually interface with the mind, which would certainly have access to the source of all things. So if there is a collective consciousness grid that we're snapped into, and you smack a certain part of your head and it kind of jumbles it and you wake, it could be something along those lines where you have certain shields and binds to keep you in a particular personality based on whatever experience you decided that you wanted to have coming into this lifetime. So maybe French wasn't part of it. Okay. But here you go. You get in a car accident, you get smacked in the head at the bar, and next thing you know, we're speaking French. You know what I mean? So I think that there's an element of, again, talking about where the mind actually is. I don't think it sits in the body. I think the brain is the interface of that. So if you smack the interface, again, maybe something jumbles up and you now have access to a very specific portion of the collective consciousness that you didn't before. Because how the hell else are you going to know how to play Chopin and Beethoven at the tip of your fingers when people spend their entire lives learning how to do this?
Mike, it's an incredible mystery. It is. It makes no sense. And every time I hear somebody explain it, I'm like, it ain't working. And they still have to have learned it somewhere in their, I don't know where. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's really weird. Like maybe when we're in the womb or something. I don't know.
Well, they surmise that this has something to do with past lives. But out of the three ideas we have here, I still go back to DNA as the possible catalyst for this, outside of what I'm just mentioning here. So again, and it's possible that we're discussing elements that are all part of the same system, and people aren't realizing that. So they're saying, "Oh no, it's just DNA. Oh no, it's just past lives. Oh no, it's just the brain interfacing with the mind." It's not that. They all reflect upon each other. Everything works in tandem at some type of speed, perhaps the speed of thought, something that we can't quantify just yet. And yet we know that we will be able to at some point because we can recognize that it's there. That's the first step. Once you observe it, you then try to explain it. Now, it might take time to explain it, but we've already observed it. Therefore, it does exist within our perception. Stu Gerson, what's up, brother?
Best guest ever. I agree. Thank you, Stu Gerson, everybody, for hanging out tonight. I appreciate the super chats. Stu is the man. Big Cat's here. David Wilcox, Brian, Renee cruising.
You said Big Cat?
Yeah.
Big Cat's here?
Yeah. Light the fuse.
Big Cat. Big Cat, are you from Canada? I'm just curious if you're the same Big Cat I knew 3 years ago. Because
probably is.
I'd like to talk to you, brother. I lost touch with you.
Oh, I see. You guys have a previous encounter.
Well, the Big Cat I'm talking about used to be a moderator for DarkHour Paranormal when I first started. Really, really nice dude. Had some great conversations with him. And then he sort of just disappeared. It's the same Big Cat. I'm happy to see you're all right. If not, welcome to the show, bro.
Yeah, I guess if Mikey, you have the channel DarkHour Paranormal, obviously. And I know you've been busy with work and life and everything. But just, to change the subject a little bit, what's new? What's new on your channel? What's going on? What's the next project is what I'm trying to say.
Be honest here. Jesus, which one? Okay, so very, very quickly here. I'm working on the second Montauk documentary. This is taking more time than I had anticipated for very good reason. I'm going back there twice this year. Once during August for the 12th. Of course, we know this was the anniversary of the collapse of the Montauk Project, but more importantly, this is the 40-year cycle. This is the end of it this year. So outside of that, if you guys understand, the cycles within the Montauk Project, 20, 40, and so forth, you'll know this is the closing, the ending of a specific line and circle of energy that has cycled for this entire time. In addition to that, I'm going back in October. I can't tell you exactly why, but I will tell you the reason I'm there. I'm either going to get something absolutely mind-blowing, or it's just going to be a lot of fun with some people that I have connected with in respect to the Montauk Project. Either way, there will be something to talk about there. But after we back, that I'll be wrapping the Montauk Project, the second part of the series here. In addition to that, and I will get to the channel in a moment here. We are planning a trip out to Belize in less than a month. Jared Murphy, myself, and about 12 other academics from
Leeds,
all corners of
Alabama.
Exploration. We're going to Belize, Central America.
Oh, Belize! Holy shnikey! What? The Yucatan?
Yeah. We are going.
You're going to the Yucatan. Go ahead, please explain this journey. Holy crap!
We're heading out to Punta Gorda, and we have.
Watch your mouth! Come on. Sorry, there's a little delay here.
That's fine. We have exclusive access to a site that has not been excavated in over 60 years, or even traipsed upon, because it's private property, and the individual who owns this. Well, we're going to be looking at about 10 square miles to focus on, but I mean, we're looking at 6,000 acres of jungle that we have access to. Now, the important thing to understand is that there are 3 megalithic pyramidal structures that have been identified on this property that more than likely, it's about 85-90%. We know they're there. It's just nobody's been there to dig them out. So we have LiDAR scan, we have satellite imaging, we have every bit of equipment at our fingertips to go in there and do this type of work. We'll be looking for everything from these megalithic structures all the way down to whatever culture is left behind. We know that there are at least 2 tract sites from the Mayans that had lived there many years ago. Of course, when you go into this, the trash sites are just absolutely fruitful. It's all sorts of artifacts and so forth from history. We're looking for terra preta, which is char-based geoengineered soil that, to know about terra preta, and you find this in the jungle, you understand that, people would have brought this to the jungle because you couldn't grow certain crops within the soil of the jungles. It just wasn't fertile. So they actually went somewhere else, garnered the soil, created the soil. It's engineered, geoengineered. And then they brought it back and then they use that to continue on with their civilization. Now, the curious thing about this terra preta is that, from my understanding, it's just as fertile today as it was thousands of years ago when people were using it. It renews itself in some fashion. So I can't tell you everything that we're working on with this, but I can tell you that we do have a dig team down there right now who has already reported back to us several findings of interest. And that's what we're going to just, shoot right out of the barrel with when we get down there. Jim Goodall will be joining us along, again, with many other people from the world of academia. We have some great folks that are coming along with us. So we're really looking forward to this. We're not going to just stick to this particular site because we have an entire bay at our disposal, in a sense, to go down. We have a professional dive team that's coming with us. And we know that there are ruins located in this bay. In fact, it actually has a very specific name for some of the artifacts that have been found in the distant past. And we've been given that access to go down and film some of these ancient ruins that are below sea level. And in addition to that, there are many islands just off the coast. And one in particular, known as Snake Island, apparently is I hate using this word, but it's what's been thrown around, cursed by perhaps the civilization because of the rituals that they were working with, the entities that exist in that area. Whatever the case is, the locals will not step foot on the island, but we're going to go there and we're going to explore the ruins. So there's a lot in respect to the itinerary. Very, very big trip up ahead of us.
So I was just going to...
What's up, boys?
There they are. It is. It sounds incredible. Well, here's where you're going for those who needed a map. You're going to that little curly part down here at the bottom. Belize, right? You said?
That's right.
You said Belize. Here, Belize. See, now I'm right over here. Why can't I just jump across the pond?
Well, I mean, you have to have, good set of moon stilts. I don't even know what they call them.
I need a boat is what I really need. A boat or a plane. That would be like a 3-hour flight. Not bad.
Yeah,
how far is it?
Not bad.
What is it, like 4,000 miles for you?
Something along those lines. But honestly, the flight trajectory, I mean, I'm looking at like maybe 5.5, 6 hours in total to get down there and back if I were to just go straight down. So
what an incredible, what an incredible journey. How long are you going to stay there?
We'll be there for 2 weeks.
Jesus, really?
And we're filming a documentary on the entire thing.
Are the guys going? The Cousins brothers?
Cousins are coming along this time, but this is not in any way, shape, or form the last time we're going to this location or anything around it, because what we're doing here essentially is setting foot and stabilizing ourselves within what we get into down there to set up for future expeditions. And as that happens, the doors will be open to, folks who have interest in coming sincerely,
Is it expensive? You don't have to give me a number. I'm just wondering.
It's not cheap.
Okay. I didn't think it would be really cheap.
It's not terrible. I mean, it's affordable to a certain extent, if you will. But, again, you're going to a country where the dollar is 3 to 1, essentially 2.5 to 3.
Yeah.
And therefore, when I'm looking at, food, I think I'll be okay. That's really the only thing I worry about. So get your plane ticket down, get your lodging. Other than that, you should be okay.
Damn. It's just expensive to have fun. Like, I wanted to go to the Dave Scott thing in Vegas, and now I can't, probably. It's, in May, but yeah, I just, I could drive there and save a bunch of money, but it's still, it costs, it'll be at least $500, right? You got to eat.
It's expensive.
Got to get a place to sleep for 2 nights. I mean, that's $250 minimum right there. So gas is $100. Gas is $100. Food will be $100. Anyway, it costs money to travel.
Grabbing bananas, yeah.
So when you're going there, you'll get them in Belize, right? What is it you want to get? Why are you really going there? I know you just told us a lot of stuff, but what kind of evidence are you hoping to get specifically?
I'd like to staple down at least one of those megalithic structures. And at least I'm not saying that we're going to dig the entire thing out in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm saying that we're going to locate this thing and we're going to use LiDAR scanning to look deep within the earth and see that this thing is here, so that next time we can come and dig it out. Okay. Outside of that, I'd love to find that Terra Preta, because that has so much implication behind it in respect to the cultures that were there. Again, we're going down an entirely different road. We could talk about Terra Preta in respect to its significance all day. So we really just need to find one or two things that will really put things on edge. But I'm telling you this, if we find one of those pyramids, it's going to be one of the greatest discoveries of 2023. Hands down, archaeologically, it will be one of the best discoveries, unless somebody comes out, something after this.
I'm just curious if you could answer yes, then good. But is Brian Forrester gonna meet you there? Maybe.
We talked about getting in touch with Brian. I think that everything happened so quickly that we didn't really have the chance to include him in this plan. But he has been somebody that we would like to talk to after the fact, depending on what we find, and perhaps pitch something to him as we go forward to get him down there. Yes. And give us his opinion on certain things.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh my God. So what triggered going to this location? Like, whose idea was it and why?
Well, Jared Murphy had mentioned some time ago that he wanted to go back to Peru and start working on, some of these archaeological sites. And somehow, through synchronicity or just happen chance, he ended up meeting the landowner of this particular place in Belize. And through some light conversation, he realized that there was some sort of opportunity for both of them, because the owner wants to have the right people excavate this stuff. He's been approached many, many times, even recently, offered millions of dollars for his plots of land of jungle, and he refuses to do it because he knows that there's something there. I mean, for all we understand, based on what we found already, there might be an underground cenote there that nobody's ever discovered since it was
What's a cenote? What's a cenote?
A cenote is essentially an underground pooling of water, fresh spring water that is either warm or cold, regardless what that is. But it has a very specific spiritual significance to the people that would have been there indigenously. And they talk about, healing, like the Fountain of Youth, I think, had something to do with a cenote in respect to legend. There's a lot that goes into that. But you can find other cenotes that, you can visit today, but you travel down, the stairs underground and people go swimming. But again, it's like this underground aquifer that has been untouched for years. And when you look at some of the foliage and what's going down, if you find the ferns just keep going as you dig and there's no real soil underneath, you might just have a cenote underneath you.
I've probably seen them and didn't even realize it on some nature show, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Just don't remember hearing about it. But wow, man. So is this dangerous?
Yes, it is. I mean, we're going to a third world country. It's bordered by two countries that are essentially run by cartels.
But are there caves and huge cliffs, any place you could drown or get buried?
Yes, all of that, mate. All of that. I mean, we're going out on the ocean, in a little boat to get to this island, and we're sending people down, diving. There's always an inherent danger to everything we're doing. But that being said, we are now taking every precaution. We've been doing this. The planning is extensive. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you some of the work, some of the people have done so far. But they are making sure that, to the best of our ability, everyone will be safe. If there is, by chance, some accident, we are prepared for that. But, when you talk about going into the jungle, you have to talk about the inherent dangers. I mean, you have different insects that you're not familiar with, you different wildlife that can come out of the brush at any moment. I don't want you to go. You have, cliffs. Well, I think I'll just wear a parachute, the entire time I'm out in the field.
Oh, you need parachute pants? I've got some parachute pants from the 80s.
I might have some from the 90s somewhere, man.
I do have some gray ones. It's really funny. The legs are so skinny. Like I can't even get my calf in. Yeah, they're so small. It's like a 29-inch waist. I'm like, what the frig is this thing? 29. Like, yeah, that was high school. But
my grandmother used to make those for me. She'd stitch them together, right? Because that's what grandmothers, they quilt and they sew shit, right? So,
yeah.
she'd show up at my birthday and I'd open this up and they were like clown pants, dude. Or like these plaid, bright colored clown pants, but they looked like MC Hammer pants. So I was like, yeah, wear these to school. Oh, man. It was a bad choice, but I wore them anyway.
Aw, what a nice grandkid. That's awesome, man. My grandmother just made Afghans in socks. I never wore them, but the Afghans were beautiful. They were huge. Thanks, Robert Wilhelm, for the continuing support. 20 bones. He just threw it out there like it was nobody's business. Thank you. Says, great show, Rich. Thank you. It is. Yeah, it is. It's a great show. That's right. It is. I don't know what else to say. All right. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it, Rob. Well,
going back to your inquiries there very quickly. So
yeah.
The Montauk Project documentary coming out. We're working on Belize, and we're going to do that full documentary going forward. In addition to that, the shows themselves, I've been doing interviews, once a week, once every other week, given what the workload permits me to do. The last individual I had on was a secret space program survivor, John Whitberg. And yeah, he had a lot of interesting things to talk about. Based on his recollections, I don't really know if I want to live in this world because, you talk about World War II, we understand that Germany was defeated, but those who have been in the secret space program have a completely different narrative. They say that it didn't end. Basically Germany and all those, all of that political party, they went off to Mars. Okay. So this sounds a little far-fetched. It sounds a little far-fetched, but we do understand that, Hitler had anti-gravitational technology, electrogravitic technology. This has been proven. I'm not talking about the Nazi belt. There was a disc that was recovered, and I think Pattison, along with two other individuals, were sent over just after things had sort of died down with the war to retrieve this disc, and they noticed that this thing would float on its own. It had different properties, but it was man-made. Something that Germany had come up with in respect to that technology. Now, they had this whole plan to create a larger craft that had the same properties, but unfortunately the war ended, as we would see it, before they were able to perfect this technology. So they did get it to the point where it was up in the air, but it was unstable. I'm not sure if there's a video out there about that. I've been told there is. I don't know that I've seen it, but long story short, we started talking about this type of technology back in the 30s and the 40s. Okay. If they were working with that and turning that within the gears of the war machine, they may have made strides that we're just not aware of. But again, bring it back to these survivors. They talk about not only Mars being inhabited by the descendants of that particular country, but that they've expanded throughout our solar system and beyond. So I asked him at one point, I said, well, how many planets is this particular party, inhabiting, hypothetically? He said about 10,000. I said, that's a little crazy. He said they number into the trillions. I said, well, okay. I went into different questions about why they're not on us. Why can't they come attack us, take, Earth over again? I was told that they don't have the munitions to do it, and that there's this whole trade and transport that goes through. Very interesting narrative if you only hear it once, right? But if you hear it more and more from different people that don't have any connections to each other and seem to have their own independent memories in respect to this, I'm going to turn my head and take note. It only seems fair to at least give them that voice and understand. I mean, Christ, I have memories of myself, dealing with, again, the Montauk Project, which I can't really explain. So, outside of that, what do you say? You have to express it to a certain extent.
Good. I don't know what. This threw me off when the thing clicked here. No, yeah, man, I'm telling you, what you're doing is real impressive. And a lot of people don't understand what's about to happen with you doing all this research over there. I can't believe you're going. I really can't. It is dangerous, man. You could get malaria. You could get all bit by something. It could kill you a year from now. I don't know, Mike. You're going to have to wear tall boots and low pants.
Yep. Even Jim Goodall was talking about how he'll have his knickers on, regardless of where we're headed. And we're all bringing galoshes, so boots that go up to about your knee. So yeah, we're keeping very well prepared for whatever could come. But yes, disease is something that we've talked about too.
I'm going to say something stupid, but I'm going to ask anyway. I'm sure you have like a tour guide type of person, a trail guide, or no?
So we will be escorted by, I think, 2 individuals into the property. And some of this is also for our protection, because it's my understanding that there may be some aversion to what we're doing if we start making it more public where we are locationally. So we need to be quiet about going in there, just do what we're there to do, keep our heads down and just get it done. So I can't tell you again everything that I know about this particular aspect, but suffice to say, the owner has had issues and conflicts, brazen conflicts with not only individuals but government in the past over his own land. So yeah.
Because it has got the most historic shit just waiting to be found. That's why, Mike. Oh, yep. I really hope this works out. I really hope this is a fruitful endeavor for you and everybody involved. I think that's good. That's something I feel like you've earned, and everybody who's there, who's put in their time. It could happen. Hey, it could be a bust too, but you don't think it's a bust. I know you don't, or else you wouldn't be going. No,
I just think there's too much to explore. I mean, Christ, if I come back with a couple arrowheads, hey, you know what? I've got something to talk about. I mean, obviously, I'm thinking small there.
Yeah. I don't know if I should even ask, but I was going to say, how did you get involved? But I guess because of Jared Murphy, right?
Yep.
100%. Like, why are you going? Why are you part of this? Just curious.
I am responsible for the back end of the documentary, so I'll be the filmographer along with one other individual. We have 2 4K cameras that will be within our party. So we've been planning how the shoot's going to go, day by day, create an outline of what we're going to present, how we're going to sit people down at the end of the day and just do a little quick recap, so we'll have that in our stock so that when we go to edit certain things together, we can really make this a very comprehensive presentation of what we're doing down there and what's to come after this expedition, perhaps. I don't want to say any names to say.
That's okay.
But I'll say that we do have within this prospect some interest from some larger distribution companies that you are familiar with in respect to withholding documentaries and then putting them out through this particular platform. So it's exciting that this is in front of us, but my job is primarily to work as a producer, director, filmographer when I go down on this trip. And of course, I have a little bit to add in respect to the archaeology, but I think in some respects there are people that are coming that have a very vast and experiential background when it comes to archaeology, and I really look forward to learning something from them too.
Hell freaking yeah. And that's kind of another reason I'm glad I asked that question. I didn't think it was that good of a question. Great answer. But I was thinking, because when I asked why you going, I don't know why I didn't put 2 and 2 together, that you're going to be on the back end of filming this thing and all that and producing. That I get. But will you be used for your Zen type qualities?
So that's curious. A very good question, by the way. That's a curious thing that we're actually doing here. So we are going down there with a very analytical trope in front of us. And at the same time, we're going to be researching the more esoteric end of things. So we have people bringing instruments to measure scalar energy that may be coming off of some of these pyramids. We have, people devices that will be able to detect electromagnetic fluctuations within the property. And then of course we have people who are sensitive to these type of energies who will be coming and giving or lending some of their clairvoyance to whatever degree. So we're actually exploring both sides of this. It's a very again complete presentation. I haven't really talked much about the esoteric end because I've been so ensconced in the archaeological end of things and just getting in there, getting my hands in the soil and so forth, touching the pottery that's already been found on these sites. I'm sure there's plenty more to go through. Wouldn't that be cool if somehow third phase of moon. If we found some bottles within the digging there, I mean, maybe not so deep down, but there's civilization,
perfume bottles and stuff.
The Mayans, man. Sure, you never
cooking,
know.
perfume, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, no, I'm not even joking. I think this is incredible. I think what you're doing is going to be so much freaking fun. But the knowledge you're going to gain from all of this is going to be through the roof, which is I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. I want to say thanks to Greg O'Brien for $3.33 right there. I did see some others pop up. Third phase of moon threw one out. Sometimes you just have to take risk in life. Yeah, true. If you don't, you'll never find what you're looking for. Right. Which is why I got off my ass this week. You're getting off your ass. And that's what it's about. Boots on the ground, doing what you can when you can. And that's amazing that you're doing this. It really is. I forgot that you were doing it before we talked today.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm excited.
It's been in the background.
When is it?
Yep.
June?
We're leaving April 16th.
Holy shnikey.
Yep.
3 weeks.
Yep.
Thanks, third phase of moon, for the... That's amazingly fast. I mean, by the time we hang up the show, you're already packed and ready to go.
Yep, primarily.
That's how quick it's going to be. No, I'm serious. I mean, 2 weeks is a long time. I can't imagine staying there for 2 weeks with all those bugs and humidity. And my God, that's going to be awful. I'm getting itchy on my legs just thinking about it.
Funny thing is, Jared mentioned in one of the last conversations that I had with him and a couple other people, he says, well, maybe we can, rough it for a night or two out in the jungle, be by the sites. We don't have to do the travel. And I'm like, I don't know. We'll discuss that when we get down there and kind of look at what we're dealing with, man. I don't really know that I want to spend the night in the jungle in a tent, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to do that, but he might be able to sway me a different way if he gives me good reason to do it. So,
it only takes one malaria mosquito. That's all it takes. Next thing you know, you're malaria. That's all you're going to be known for. Mike Malaria.
What?
It's not even, I can't even say it. Malaria. Can't even say it anymore. I'm scared. Thanks, third phase of moon. Appreciate that support as always. And mucho gusto generoso. Hey, Wicked World's here. Wicked World, how you doing? Helen, how you doing? All right. The one thing about being in this field, and it's very exciting to meet. I like meeting people. I really do. You may not think it, because I hardly do much, but I am going to start. And I think that is missing. What you're doing is going to, who's doing it? Nobody, nobody's going to be doing what I'm doing. Nobody's doing what third phase of moon is doing. I would have to say, between these three entities, there's a lot of information that's being given to this world. It's amazing. It really is. I can't congratulate you enough on this venture. And man alive, how exciting.
I come back alive and well.
Nah, even if you have an issue or two, you get props for trying. It's amazing stuff.
It, Rich.
No, man, I don't know if I could do it. You have to get a passport. You got to go across another country. It's Mexico, for cripe's sakes. You never know what's going to happen over there. Next thing you know, where's Mike? I don't know. I think he's prostituting. Yeah, I get scared of that stuff.
How are you?
I get scared of that for you. I get scared of that. Everybody could be hijacked, taken over by a big species of spiders. You never know, man. Those things are rabid out there. Rampant,
big species of spiders. At least I'll be able, rampant. At least I'll be able to film it.
Yes. Yeah, you better. You better. Have you ever heard of the Taos hum?
Taos?
The hum? Yeah. It's a humming noise that people hear. Not everybody hears it, but it's in the area, I think, where you're going.
How do you know about
Taos
that?
out there? Pardon?
Interestingly enough, I said, how do you know about that? Because interestingly enough,
I've known about it.
One of the individuals who actually experienced it firsthand, and relayed this particular location that, he went through this whole buzzing and, everything kind of shifted around him. We're going to be going there as well as part of the esoteric end of things. I forgot until you mentioned that. Yeah. That was actually one of the first things we were talking about.
That's amazing. Check this out.
Phenomenon that is called the hum, the Taos hum, H-U-M. It is a vibration that is felt selectively by some people. Other people don't seem to know it at all. It usually happens between 2 and 4 a.m. when a lot of people are sleeping. And the hum, it's right on the verge of where you feel it in your heart and where you can just below the audible level. And no one knows where this hum is coming from. They brought in university researchers back in the 1980s to try to triangulate where, if they could find 3 locations where they found the hum and triangulate, they could find the source. And what they found was that it's coming from everywhere, suggesting that there is a vibration happening within the earth during those periods of time, 2, 3, 4 a.m.
Of course.
That is being carried through the bedrock into these other areas. What is the source of that vibration?
I can't believe you're going there. Like, I didn't even know that you were doing that. And the reason that popped up, because I think when you told me where you were going, I did a search and then this video popped up in my feed. So I just took it and didn't know if I was going to use it tonight. But I just happened to see it again and I'm like, oh, all right, let me ask Mike about that. The hum is weird. It's been around for a long time, right? Has it gone away? Do you know?
No, not that I know of, but could this be some sort of bodily interpretation of some sort of solar energy?
Underground.
Reportedly, it might be underground. Now, one of the reasons I think this might be the case, or at least it's a theory I would put forward, is because a lot of research has been done lately on pyramids in general. Okay, and what people have found. This isn't my research, by the way. You can find this out there. What people have found is that there are usually, in many cases, underground aquifers that are underneath these pyramids. So what they're surmising, and I'm going to simplify this probably ad nauseum for some of you who actually know what I'm talking about, so forgive me. Somehow they were able to use the energy of the water, okay, so hydro energy, and they were able to, without certain poles or metallic objects, to pump water up to fuel it and put it around a turbine and so forth. They were able to take the energy from that, the electricity specifically, and it moves up certain shafts within the pyramid and then gets to the apex. And when you have that gold cap, at least in the sense of the Giza pyramids, and the reflective outer surface that I think was a limestone,
it was
the polymer of some sort. Okay, this all played a part in how the sun would hit this and the electricity that would come to the top. Now, one of the questions is, how did they rope in or corral this electricity within a certain radius so that apparently people who were living in the civilization within the towns or the cities or whatever that was there were able to tap in to electricity in the air and always have electricity? Now, this is a very predominant theory as of late, that this is what a lot of the pyramids were used for. They were an enormous electrical grid. And if you were a traveler going across, some country of sort, and, you were in the radius of one of these, you could very quickly tap into what's considered maybe a free energy, a free electricity. So, that's something to consider when we look at the pyramids and, what kind of scalar energy was used in respect to this, because apparently some of them are still exuding scalar energy, and there has to be some significance to that.
Is Belize on a ley line? I'm looking right now.
I don't know. I have to look at.
I'm going to look now.
It's probably already been discussed within the group, but I didn't see it.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know. I got it up here, so I'm checking real quick. Let's see. Here's the ley lines. Here's Belize. Yeah, there is one. There's one that goes from east to west, right through it. Well, that's very
curious.
Right there, it is for sure. Goes right through it. Damn.
Well, we have the coordinates for, where we think, some of these megalithic structures are. I'll look.
Oh, cool.
And see if they line up. I'll see.
Yeah, very cool. Are you doing that now? No, right?
I mean, good, like, okay. When I have, I'll have to sit down with what I have for data so far.
Oh, okay. I just wonder. Look how beautiful this place is. Yeah, I think it looks like there's a ley line, although I'm not sure if this is just, a map of just a map, but let me know. I'm interested to find out. When you get back, of course, you're going to have a lot of work to do. So when do you plan to show us?
That is a very good question, because honestly, if we do what we're envisioning for this documentary, it's not YouTube. So if that's the case, there will be a larger platform involved, and we'll certainly go that route. But we have, I think it's 3 or 4 people, including myself, that are going to be deep within the editing process. One of them, very formidable in his editing, does this as a profession, and I've seen his work. It's fantastic. So again, I might learn a few things from him. Who knows? Maybe I'll learn a couple things from me. Probably not. But that being said, it's going to be a very finely polished, produced piece of work when we're done with it.
I know it will be, man. Everything you do is really good, and I know the Cousins brothers will have their input. I'm sure I will too. Mm-hmm. And I should have reworded that question. I should have reworded that instead of saying when does everybody say, when do I get to see it? I want to see it before everybody.
You know how that works. You do.
I know. Is that being facetious?
Well,
is that being facetious?
I don't think so. What was your intention?
I don't know. I hear people using. Yeah, my intentions were to just be funny and get an answer at the same time. So, what was that? What was the word I used? Felicia?
Yeah, facetious. Felicia? Huh?
For who? Fanabla. Facetious. How do you spell it? Fecesious. Facetious means Fecetious. Do you know what it means? The definition of facetious? Yeah. All right. Let's see. All right. I know you do, but let me see. What does facetious mean? It is one of the most often used. Kind of, but I didn't want to make it obvious. It's one of the most often used online chatting and texting messaging to mean that something is a joke or funny. It can also be used to describe something or someone that is being sarcastic. I was being facetious. I thought it was obvious. I know. Nobody else did either. All right, so being that we're just getting into the second hour of this now by about 15 minutes, we're almost done. Don't worry, Mike. I'll let you go in a minute. I want to thank Chris Rogers for the $5, £5, £5 pyramid is like the Tesla Tower.
Yes, Chris. That is what we understand.
My thing, Mike, is like I understand the energy being dispersed, like Wi-Fi. We don't really feel it, but our body does. Our body feels that stuff. Do you think that's what it was like back in the day? Like, how did they plug in stuff if it was all this free energy floating around? I don't get it. I don't understand how it could go from the pyramid and then everybody sucks off of it without a connection.
That's my biggest question too. And I have a feeling that there might be an answer or a proposed theory on this. I just haven't found it in detail yet. But that was my biggest question. What are they utilizing that they could just sort of tap into it? No, I mean, you bring up a good point here. We have Wi-Fi, and it's not something tangible. We walk through the frequencies every day, like radio frequencies and so forth. We have this technology because we developed it within our societies. Okay, perhaps, and I strongly believe this is the case, ancient civilizations had their own versions of our same technology. Now, maybe they didn't have a computer like we're sitting in front of right now. Maybe they didn't have the type of materials. It wasn't that they didn't have the intellect or deductions to do it. So maybe it just wasn't within, their line of thinking. They did it a different way. So
totally, I get it. Yeah.
You
Right.
have a chemical reaction that works with copper and so forth, and yet you get electricity. So it's a very simplified form, and yet there's something tangible there. We're
Yeah.
going to have to do some more research to figure out how people were plugging into this, because I'm sure there was a technology that they did.
Wasn't hydrogen used as a conductor of electricity in the pyramid? I thought hydrogen, they were like in the king's chamber, I think it was, there was a line that went around where it showed a level that may have been hydrogen there. That's what they said it was. So why would hydrogen be there where they thought water would be running in another way? It's very strange. Are you familiar with that?
I remember either hearing or reading something about hydrogen in the shafts, which, if it was being used to conduct electricity, would make sense as to how they would get the electricity from where the water was up through these shafts without any other extraneous apparatus. But I'm not 100% sure.
So cool. And then if you align the shafts at certain times a year, they align with what is it, Orion? Isn't that
there's a handful of constellations? There's a handful of constellations these things line up to.
Yeah.
But what significance is that in respect to utilizing these as large amplifiers for electricity? There must be something there. Now, keeping in mind that some of these pyramids go deep within the earth, and this isn't because we still have that's to be uncovered. That's how they were created. You have something that's inlaid within the earth, and to me, when you have something that's inlaid that way, and you may be turning it on, whatever you're dispersing through that object is going to affect not just the immediate surroundings, but perhaps the earth itself will have something as large as some of these incredible megalithic pyramids that we see out there.
I love it. It is so addicting. And you may be on the precipice of finding one.
Oh, yes.
Did I use precipice correctly? Did I use it right?
You did. Yes, you did.
Yay. I learned that from The Day the Earth Stood Still. When we are at the precipice of change, it is when we change. When we're at the precipice.
Well,
anyway, it's true.
You have to learn this one way or another, But, when you talk about the research that goes into the pyramids and you talk about the myriad of theories, certainly having a specific alacrity for this type of research will help, but it's the perseverance, I think, and perhaps maybe some of the ancillatory, what's the word I'm looking for? Ancillatory? The supporting governments and organizations. Ancillatory, I think, is what I'm looking for. They will be able to, kind of come together on this, because it's not going to be just one individual or even a small group of individuals that will, be able to kind of gather what we understand about these pyramids as time goes on. It has to be, again, I hate to say it, more of a collective effort. And I don't mean everybody rushes down to the pyramids and starts on this work, but there has to be more support within the governments to allow us certain access as they have found it. Of course, we have our concerns of, certain cover-ups and how they're, kind of hiding things away from us in whatever faction that they're doing. This has been proven as time has gone on, as they unveil things. Oh yeah, we had this, but now you can have it. It's like, oh, good. What'd you do to it, man? I don't think it looked like this. What's this? What'd you take off of it? So we know we're not getting the whole truth. So, I save for actually finding some sort of utopian reality where we are finding all that truth and people are coming together. Short of that, there's got to be something else that we can do to continue to define we're learning from these megalithic structures, specifically for the conversation, these pyramids. And it's not just Giza. It's all these pyramids all over the place. Look at Third Phase. I don't know if you guys remember, a couple of years ago, they released an episode, and they had found a pyramid out on Hawaii. Now, one of the curious things about this is that it didn't appear to be the dry stacking method, which we understood the Polynesians were over there and they predominantly had created structures using dry stacking method. This actually had some sort of mortar, or if it didn't, it was just so cleanly pressed together that you couldn't slide a piece of paper through that. We understand that type of technology could have come about from some understanding of an alchemy sort where they could actually turn the rocks into some sort of soft material, maybe superconducted with some sort of heat, because the way they bend around each other and actually mold themselves from possibly the weight that they actually carry. It's just absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I have it right here. Here's the pyramid. I got it. It's on Third Phase UFO Report.
Nice.
And you know what? I haven't played. Yeah, this way everybody can get a smoke break, and we'll the last 15, 20 minutes of the show we'll yell and scream for you because you guys like drama, don't they, Mike?
They do. They do.
We're gonna have a fake fight, Mike and I.
Yes. So
all right.
Deuce.
Yeah. All right, liver lips. I'm gonna put you in the corner. All right. Well, hey, don't get saucy, Bernice.
Yeah, as long as you
don't get saucy with me. Hey, my show. You know what I mean over there.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Rich Giordano reporting.
Look at me.
I
look like a little boy.
So I'm here again with my partner, Michael from DarkHour Paranormal.
You're here too. I did not know this. Oh, this is unbelievable.
We
look at us.
We covered it after the fact. Yeah.
Holy shit. We
look at the old studio.
We aged well.
I think we did.
I think for 2 years we aged okay, right? Right? Hey, wait. Hey there.
Oh yeah. Well, with all these filters on Instagram and TikTok, I mean, you can make yourself look like 17 years old again. I guess. I don't know.
Oh, that's true. I would never mislead the public like that.
I wouldn't either. Why?
No, because I put in too much work. I want people to see the results. All right, here we go. Let's get to the pyramid thing that the Cousins brothers, I don't know if it's a pyramid. It sure looks like it could be. We only see one wall that does go up in what looks like layers. They said, but I still haven't seen it.
Yeah, when we go down there, man.
Hey. Well,
how are you?
That's true. When we do go down there, we've got to go check out the pyramid. I know it's a pyramid, but the thing is, we've never really saw the pyramid. Have we?
True. Very true. I'll give you that. Nope.
We're just taking their word for it. They're hoaxing walls. They fake even everything, even nature. I don't know, man.
Those aren't real plants, dude.
Yeah, right. I know. It's a fake garden. It's a studio. Yeah.
Look, the sun glistens
look
off
at this.
of it. No, I know it's by water. Don't worry about that.
Look how beautiful it is, though. It really is. All right, I'm going to get us out of here. And there we go.
That this was something that not many people knew about, or if anybody knew about it at all. So this is an incredible find. And who knows the archaeological implications, or if there is somebody who's been out there to study this area and could tell us more about what this might actually be.
Yeah, King Kong.
According to Brenton Blake, because I asked him, has anybody ever been there that you know of? He's like, nobody would have found it.
Right.
Nobody knows this. They've been there their whole lives.
You can barely see it there, and it's right in front of us.
It's not in any books. So this is
so overgrown.
A find, a historical find by Brenton Blake. It's crazy. Look how beautiful it is, though.
It's gorgeous. It seems to be an absolute paradise, and at one time probably was just that. I did think it was interesting that they had mentioned that they waited 3 years to go back to this location.
Oh,
perhaps they were waiting to see who else might have known about it, or they just couldn't get out there. But that's a considerable amount of time to remember how to get back to something like this so far into the woods.
Yeah, I don't know if they use GPS coordinates or what, but they know the island very well. And to find this 3 years ago tells us all, for people who live on a Hawaiian island, to find something that is, that it's in the middle of nowhere and it's been there forever. And these guys found it because they're, they make documentaries and stuff like that, and they look for places like this, and they stumbled upon it one day. I mean, look at this.
Man,
the
I love
steps
it.
Here, is this man?
Gorgeous,
the steps
dude.
man-made, or
Right?
is it just? What do you see here? Is it
Well,
natural?
That's sort of a great question, because clearly behind him, that structure does appear at first glance to be man-made. Now, leading up to it, there's a possibility that at one point that there were some sort of stairs that were set there, and he mentions that there seems to be something across the stream as well. So perhaps this is part of an entire complex of different constructs that are left over from the days of the ancient Hawaiians. But, upon first glance, my thought is there's been plenty of time and weather that's obviously, traversed this landscape. And, there's a good possibility that the formation of the stairs in front of this pyramid object was much more formative.
Yeah.
There had more form earlier on. What do you think, Rich?
Yeah. Well, absolutely, because, if they have any...
Was that you who asked me now? Live?
No, I just, all I said was that, there's that beveled stepping there.
I thought you just said, what do you think, Rich? But it was on the show where I'm playing it. Okay.
Yep.
So I did want to play that for a minute or two, and I didn't realize, I forgot how beautiful it was to look at that and see what they found, which is still being ignored by the science community over there because, they got other things to do, like look at Oumuamua. How about Oumuamua not being anything?
Come on. I still don't understand why I'm hearing so much about Oumuamua. Now, with that being said, Avi Loeb obviously was a big proponent to Oumuamua and what he had said about certain the conjecture that he brought up around this object. But I think he's actually spending about $1.5 million to go down some area of the ocean. I don't remember exactly where it was, where a meteor had struck some years ago. It was 4 years ago or something like that. And he thinks that this is, well, I guess the way the article described it says a tougher meteor. I imagine that's either more dense or some sort of property that we don't see in other meteors.
Yeah, how does he know?
Possession. That's a good question. But that's apparently his interest in this particular object and why he's spending $1.5 million to go down there with a team of people and recover this damn thing. And yet we're still talking about Oumuamua. Hasn't Oumuamua moved out of our orbit? I mean, it's not in our immediate solar system anymore. No. And when it was, I think we kind of determined that if nothing else, it looks like a chunk of something. And it's very odd that there's, sort of a donut shape to it in a sense. It's oval-esque, if you will. But I think that's about as much as we know about it publicly, right?
No. There was an article that came out 2 days ago that it's the final word on Oumuamua. It definitely is just a rock, they're saying. I read the article yesterday on the show. Yeah. Hold on. Let me see if I still have it.
Yeah.
It was a very big it wasn't just regular. It was mainstream media. I mean, this isn't something like here, I could show you this. I don't have the article, but I can show you a photo that was sent to me by Thomas Fessler of Avi Loeb when he found out. So there it is. Avi Loeb found out, and that's what happened.
Oh, boy.
Very sad.
Boy,
it did. Pardon?
He looks like that because he got a big C.
Yeah. Huh?
Okay.
Yeah. I understand now. Kind of like a loose collar after it's been stretched. Got it. I hear you, Chief. So, Oumuamua, after all it's said and done, it's just a rock. But it's a very interesting rock, and it had strange outgassing, that made it accelerate when they said it shouldn't and all this other stuff. So it was interesting. I enjoyed Oumuamua, but Avi Loeb took the biggest chance of all. He was all in. It's a spaceship. The only one, right? If he was right, though. But imagine if he was right. He'd be a millionaire times 10. He could write a book and it would go to number one. He'd probably get a Nobel Peace Prize because of that. But
I certainly don't think his motivation would have been, finances, that's for sure. But that would have been one hell of a thing if that one person who believed in it was right.
And it was a Harvard professor. Come on. He took a chance. He knew he was all in with this because somebody said, go ahead, Avi. What do you got to lose? People are still going to respect you. Just go for it. Everybody was like, Avi's not going to do it. No, he is going to do it. Avi won't do it. There were side bets going on whether he was going to do it or not. Corbell lost his car. These guys,
anyway.
Yeah. And let's just put that out there while I brought up his name, Corbell. I don't know if you've been paying attention to anything he's done recently, have you? The Mosul orb?
Because, I mean, I've seen it here and there, but I kind of turned off to Jeremy Corbell. I hate to say it.
So you're not familiar with it?
No, I haven't just paid attention to anything he's done within the last year and a half. Yeah.
Oh my. Oh, okay. Then I'm not really going to get into it. Nothing's changed. Yeah, of course, because it's Jeremy Corbell. Well, he's the mainstream media love child for UFOs. Well, I mean, he's just doing the same thing he did a year and a half ago, Mike. He's putting up stuff, and I don't know if you're familiar with it. I'm going to pull it up just so you can see. And I'm not going to say much about it. But hold on. You're going to love this, Mike. You're going to love this. You ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready for this.
Jeremy, that was pretty good, actually. So Jeremy Corbell, about 6, 7, 8 weeks ago, says, we have a picture, a still image of a 4-second video of a UFO that was following or paralleling one of their spy planes over Mosul, wherever that is. And when you see this, just know this. There's no video. We've never got the video. He says there's a 4-second video where the UFO shows up for 2 seconds, but we never see it. I'm going to show it to you now. I have my ideas, but here you go. There you go. What do you think, Mike? Oh, wait, whoops. Shit. Let me bring it back up a bit closer. So that's the Mosul orb that he put out.
This metallic looking object in front of the camera?
Yes.
But it's just a picture we got?
Yes. There's no video. Can you hear it?
No.
Can you hear it?
No.
You can't hear the video playing?
No.
Okay. Yes, this is what he posted. And UFOs are, being talked about, but it's Jeremy Corbell and his, this is different. This is we don't need to look at this. You're familiar with the balloons and everything, right? The spy balloon?
Yes. Oh, yes, absolutely.
So I showed you the Mosul orb, right? You saw it?
I saw it.
Well, that's what he's putting up.
It's, I'm telling you. Go ahead.
Well, I say this is a reflection of a car, whether it be because it's on the right side of the road where it's supposed to, going this direction, I believe, because they're in another country. So it's on the left. It's perfectly centered on that side of the road. This looks like I can see a wheel well here, maybe a door, coming out from the sun, and the shadow, whatever. But that's it. And he's saying this is a UFO. What do you think? Is that good enough to be called a UFO? Do you really believe it? Well, why don't we have the video? Right. Because if we see the video, we'll see it's a car. That's why he'll never show us. He says that
possibility of that.
But he said he doesn't have control of that. It's not him who's doing it. It's the government. They're the ones that are holding the video back that whole 2 seconds.
Oh, but we'll let you get on public mainstream media and tell us, that you have the video. We're just not going to show it to you, even though we're in this sort of disclosure era where, the government has supposedly helped us out by, releasing a bunch of redacted nonsense and thousands of pages that are basically nothing that we can utilize in respect to what we're researching. This is just a bunch of nonsense to me. And I have to wonder too, because you listen to somebody like Dr. Stephen Greer, and he'll tell you that the same thing I have always kind of speculated. About 85% of what we see in the sky belongs to us. Okay, and we're talking about these Tic Tac, running UFOs. We're talking about the bells. We're talking about all of this, these sports model. All of this is ours. Okay, so if that's the case, and perhaps there are factions of military, I don't doubt, that have no idea that this technology is out there, they could very well be testing some of these objects as drones or some sort of surveillance or something that we're just not going to comprehend right now based on whatever they have in front of them mission wise or intention wise. And the public is just getting aware of this through people like Jeremy Corbell, because they're softening us up. Now, this is a narrative we've been speaking about in different ways for quite some time. We talk about it going through movies, different forms of entertainment, music, stories, whatever. We have this sort of soft disclosure that's been going on, but it still lies in the realm of imagination, but not according to people like Dr. Stephen Greer. And it's not just him that's saying that, these objects are, something that we've been working with technologically. So if that's not the case, if they're not softening us up to some degree, I don't know why we would be allowed to even entertain a picture or a video like what Jeremy Corbell is supposedly putting forth. Why even give it to us? If it's because it's like asking you if you want a pack of gum, and I give you the pack of gum and there's nothing inside of it, but you have the pack of gum and you can smell it. There was gum in there, but that's it.
I know it's a game, and I'll tell you why they're doing it. It's to get funding for a threat that they're convincing Congress is happening. So this way they get the funding. Mike, it's just so they have a job. This has nothing to do with anything. And what the government's doing, they're using UFOs to cover up other shit, like the train derailment or a murder that happened, and they don't want to let us know it was a black guy, stuff like that. So they come up with these spy balloon, Spygate, which just was to cover up the entire train derailment thing for those 3 weeks. That's all that was for. You got everybody distracted. And that's what they keep doing. But they give themselves work. They're giving themselves government money. They're living off a lie. Their whole lives are, it's a lie. From the moment they wake up to the moment they go to bed, they're living a lie. What a great life. But it's for the greater good, Mike.
That's what they say, but it's not to be believed. That's for sure. I mean,
but it
Edward
is.
Snowden, he's telling us the same thing. Even when everything was going through with, these UFOs being shot down and so forth, and people ask, is it extraterrestrial? He's like, no, absolutely not. These are ours. But it's all a big distraction from something else. Yeah, we'll see that.
I believe we did find technology, and maybe we've learned how to use it a little more over the years. I'm not sure, but I don't think it's maybe even alien technology. I just think it's ancient technology. And somehow, like you were saying earlier, they figured out a way to make their computers work without using this, that, and the other that we use. And they're, use who knows what, rocks and air and water. I don't know. But whatever it is, technology then, technology now, if we can make it into a bomb, Mike, what's better than that, Mike, when they're talking about the government? Power, baby, power. They want to crush everybody. My thing with Jeremy Corbell is he's not even a military or government employee. It's like, why would the government give him, because that's where he's getting his stuff, from somebody in the government, according to him. But everything he's given us is either FLIR footage or stuff that doesn't match what he's saying. Like when he was talking about the fleet, and you can see it was a swarm of UFOs, and then there's only 2. That kind of shit on the radar. So, these things were making maneuvers, right angle turns at 30,000 miles an hour. Oh, this one's only going 286 miles an hour. But other than that, lies after lies, and people just eat it up. They just buy it. They go, oh, Jeremy Corbell, he's so nice. Why would he lie?
Yeah, he's got charisma for what it's worth. And maybe that's why they chose him, because he has that sort of draw.
But
maybe it works for some people.
Yeah, it does. But I think people see through it. I don't see how you can't, but they love the Jesus hands. He's always like, I'm telling you the truth. I am. I mean, you look at all of the videos and interviews, this guy's always up here. It's like, it's amazingly, he's a weird dude. But Mike, we're coming up on the end of this incredible time we're spending together. Anything you want to say that I should have brought up and didn't?
Nothing that can take another hour and a half to discuss.
I know, right? Near-death experiences. We didn't even talk about them.
No, I'll have to catch it next time.
Hey, if you're going to Belize, man, I hope you come back as Mike. I don't want you coming back as some zombie that got stung by a scorpion that is just bizarre looking. I can't have it, Mike.
Yeah, I can't have that. I can't have you. I just my fingers and toes crossed and my shoes upside down when I sleep.
No malaria, Mike. We will say a prayer for you. Actually, before you go on that trip, we'll talk about it again, maybe.
Okay.
You're leaving in mid-April, right?
Yeah.
It's only a couple of weeks away. Maybe come back. Maybe come back for 10 minutes, say hi, and tell everybody you're gonna. Are you gonna post stuff when you're down there on your channel as your, like shorts and stuff like that, or what?
So this is something that we kind of have to figure out as we go forward, because we are signing an NDA based on what we're doing with the documentary. And we've talked to the extent that, we can certainly, if internet's available, we'll be able to do lives, just talking about what we're doing. But, we're certainly not going to show the moment of when we uncover the pyramid that we're looking for or something like that. But I want to get more peripheral with some of the other sites that we might visit just to kind of check some things out. And with that in mind, absolutely, I'll be putting something together on the side, or we'll be doing some lives, maybe back at the place that we're staying. We'll have Wi-Fi, hopefully, that we can, kind of put this up. I don't know, because again, this is a third world country, and, a lot of them use solar power to, kind of do this thing. So when the lights go off, you ought to have a candle or a headlamp or something like that to make sure you can see your way around, because that's just how things work down there. So my intention is to do something along those lines, Rich. I don't know what it looks like yet.
You're going to a part of the world where my biggest enemy lives.
Yeah.
How interesting is that?
Yeah, well.
Not that he has to have eyes in the back of his head. I'm not saying that. I just hate that guy.
Yeah, I hate him too.
Oh yeah, you probably don't like him equally. Same vigor.
That's correct.
I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Anyway, I don't even know why I brought that up, Mike. I'm sorry.
And that's the show. Folks, have a wonderful rest of your night.
Pretty much. I do. I want to thank you, Michael Roser from DarkHour Paranormal, coming on Goof On. It's been over a year, brother. It's been over a year.
I know. I can't believe it.
A lot of stuff has happened, though. I think you should come on in about 2 weeks or so. Let's do that maybe in a month. I don't know. Whenever you get back. I don't know. You're not going to want to talk to anybody. You're going to have malaria. You're going to get. You're going to catch malaria. I'm afraid for you. All right. Don't say it anymore. Stop saying it.
Don't say that, Rich.
God, I'm such a dick.
Bro.
I'm such a jerk. But I actually would only be hurting myself by saying that, because when you control your Matrix universe, you can't control somebody else's. So I can't control it for you. I'd probably give myself malaria. Now that I said it again.
But the curious thing, and I'll just leave it at this, is that this is your perception. This is your world. Thoughts manifest, right? So I'm still a player in your world. Okay. If there are infinite realities in respect to timelines and every possibility is what it is, if you decide, I'm going to envision Michael getting malaria, and you put that thought intention behind it, maybe the next thing that I experience is I get malaria, and you get that during your timeline, and I'm experiencing that. It's so hard to separate. Where does the collective begin? Where does the individual end? It's so hard to tell.
And I think it has to do when you're greedy. Like, the universe won't allow you to say, I just want to have all this money, and money, and the money never comes. Sometimes it does. We've done tests ourselves where I've had extreme success thinking it and it happening. And, we haven't talked about that here yet, but next time maybe we will. It's so amazing. I really should be living. Thoughts create things. That should be my religion, if anything, Mike. I'm so stupid I don't do it. Maybe I'll try now. Let's start it now, tonight. I'm not going to say anything now. I'll do it after the show, but I want to thank you again for coming on.
Thank you.
Can't have you being a stranger. Got to come on every 3-4 months. Same with everybody else. Got to have the Cousins brothers back on too. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Huh? We keep the circles tight. I want to thank you for having me back on. Certainly, we won't let this much time pass during the next, get together we have. And thank you for all of you who are out there enjoying this and contributing through the chat. You guys are very much in our thoughts all the time. We really enjoy your presence here. And thank you for supporting Goof On the way that you all do, regardless of what your expression of that support is. You're here. And we thank you for that.
Totally. Yeah. And the shadow ban is strong. I've never had a show with, like this whole week has been extremely low numbers, except for Sunday and Monday. Those were 170, 168. And then all of a sudden it goes down to 140, 130. Today, 105. It's weird, isn't it? Usually Saturdays are like 150, but it's the shadow ban. I knew, because I've been in it now, that the pattern was going to be a bad week. But next week, you'll see after Monday. It's always after Monday you judge. But thanks, Mike. I appreciate you coming on during the shadow banning.
Thank you, Rich.
I am going to, you can disconnect. We don't have to talk afterwards and all that stuff if you don't want. I know my voice is going, so I'm going to disconnect you.
Okay.
Thank you. And don't forget DarkHour space Paranormal. You're welcome, Mike. You're welcome. Isn't he great? He's like the best guy ever. We talked so easily. The 2 hours almost just flew by. I'm very angry we didn't talk about near death. Very angry.
Again, we'll get back
My
to
fault.
it. That's okay.
No, you don't understand, man.
Tonight, man.
You don't get it, man.
Uh-huh.
All right. I'll talk to you later. All right.
All right, brother. Mike. Thank you. Ciao.
Alien bless. Thank you, Michael Roser from DarkHour. And thank you, everybody, for supporting Michael and Goof On, of course, by hanging out today. Even though there's a strong shadow ban, you guys came out today on a Saturday. I don't know what's going on, but like the last 4 days, just, it is what it is. It happens to all of us. I mean, you could I could tell what the numbers on my show is going to be by what Amy's show gets in the morning time. But I can't tell on a Saturday because she doesn't do her show in the morning. But if she has 50 during the day, I have 150 or more at night. If she has 40s, I have 130s. It's because they put the ban on us. And it's like 15% here for this show, for this week, and you can look at all the numbers of all my previous, you can see 1,300 views, 1,300 views, 1,200, 1,300, 1,200, 1,300. And then 1 week, 900, 1,000, 900, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 900. It's so obvious. Anyway, that's it for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow, Sunday, 5 p.m. Not 7, 5 p.m. And we'll do more truthology for ufology. Hey, I got it out before I went a little late. Truthology for ufology. All right. We'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. And have a good weekend. Alien bless.
is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. God have mercy on your soul.
Control, this is Flight. We're tracking 3 fast-moving objects, origin unknown. Objects, origin unknown. Control, this is Flight. We're tracking 3 fast-moving objects, origin unknown.